Well, when I originally did that lick, I wanted to try, and I can do it. That little high. But it's really when the whole band's going and everything, it's one of those things. It's kind of a moot point, to getting that little backbeat in there. So sometimes I don't even focus too hard on getting in there, especially when I'm singing. Now you're getting all the tricks of how I'm sloppy as shit. So. I'll kind of do a little slow down right there. It's kind of odd because, when I write this stuff, like when I wrote this song, the guitar part, I would probably be a lot more cleaner with it than I am now because, like I was getting back to what I was just saying, a lot of times I'm singing over this part. You got a bad reputation, that's what you got. A bad reputation, but I like it a whole lot. A bad rep. And so the main thing for me in there is to make sure that my vocal part is getting across. So I'm not over there making sure all these notes are loud and perfect and everybody can hear my beautiful little part. I'm back there just trying to play with the band quietly, And, same thing for all these chords here. And that way, when I go to the solo, or whatever I'm going to do, I've got more headroom. That's when I dig in, to play loud, some of these solos I can't really do, but what you're talking about where I follow the chord changes, so I'll be going. Then, that's still kind of a D lick, so I'll be going. Then it'll go to G, which when you switch from, you're playing in D major here, when you switch to the G chord, one of the main notes that changes is this note is no longer going to be an F sharp, it's going to be an F natural. So when I go to the G, then the F, and so I go this F lick. It's kind of at least get to the E because there's a little F E thing in there. So then the E leads you to the A chord. Then that leads you to the D chord. So. So that's kind of where I'm going. I'm going D. D, then to G, F, E, A, D. So when I'm trying to come up with a solo, I'm always thinking about changes. So that's kind of a jazzy thing, I get a lot of that from kind of the jazz guys that I've listened to, and then a lot of the rockabilly. Cliff Gallup does that very well, but a lot of the blues guys, the blues guys would learn to play. Part of Eric Clapton's thing, the way he was so big, is he didn't try to change with the chords. He would just play, and that's kind of led us to the whole rock thing, like maybe you were talking about, where a lot of the rock guys really just are playing over one chord, or even if it's different chords, they're basically acting like they're playing over one chord. Well, you know, that was kind of Clapton's deal, and it is kind of a blues deal, you know, you're in A, then A, then it, you can still play the same list over it, and I think that kind of helped bring Clapton a little bit more of a bluesy, soulful feel that maybe some of the other English guys were going. You know, they were always trying to play with the chord changes. But I'm not sure about all that. But you know, there's a couple of little tricks that I do that as far as doing, I like to play off arpeggios as much as I can and off the chord changes. And there's the circle of fifths thing or the circle of fourths, if you will. It's kind of two different ways to look at the same thing, but you've always got a tension and release chord in music, and you know, if you're in the key of A, your number one tension chord is going to be that dominant chord there, the E chord, the five chord, and you can use that in your soloing too. And a lot of times, if I'm just on the key of E, just on A, even though I'm just over an A chord, I might use an E arpeggio to lead into that. In other words, instead of just going, I'll go. See what I'm saying? So that's like an E, A, instead of just going staying in A. So you can do. Or like E, A, like E, A. So. You know, I like to think about a lot of that. Like the new album has a solo on a song called Sue Jack Daniels, where I'm kind of going all over the place. I'll start on E, go to A, D, G. Anyway, yeah, you know, I think about changes a lot when I'm soloing, and it really will help open you up a bunch, you know, to just try to think about the chord changes and where they're leading. There's another trick too, that a little thing that a little practice thing that I work on when I'm trying to work on my improvisation is you can switch the lines you're playing early. If you're in A and you're about to go to D, you don't just have to wait till that D chord comes up to start playing over that D chord. And it's a trick that helps move the music and helps get the listener, you know, oh yeah, there it goes. There, you know, it kind of helps bring the whole thing into a perspective. So I'll try to play like, here we are in A. And then, see, I was already going, I was already hit that D before I finally got to the D. You know, so you can kind of go to the, that time I went to the D there, just on the beat. That time I went to the A scale before the A chord actually came in. So, you know, if you can get it together, sometimes it's hard for me to, you know, to get it together enough where my fingers know, hey, I'm getting ready to go to that 2-5 turnaround, you know, go ahead and start going to that D. You know, so I work on that, you know, to try to get my mind and my fingers, you know, together enough where I can think, well, I can go to that 2-5 turnaround real naturally and even before it pops up, you know.